Hi friends! Today on Asian Food Nerd, the business behind food brands, we reveal the inspirational story of how a 65-year-old welfare check entrepreneur created one of the world's top food brands, not to mention a master self-promotion marketer. Stay tuned till the end when we share 3 lessons that can help you be the next global brand. The story of Colonel Sanders is inspirational and reminds us that we are never too old to taste success. Colonel Sanders is now a global brand and icon, but few knew the numerous hardships he had to endure. Harlan was born on a farm 3 miles from Henryville, Indiana, on September 9, 1890. His father passed away when he was 6 years old. Harlan had to look after his younger siblings and do the most of the cooking because his mother had no choice but to work sewing for other families and peeling tomatoes at a canning factory. He had mastered bread and vegetables by the age of 7, and he was already getting better at meat. On occasion, he would stay up until 11 or 11:30 p.m. cooking. He obtained his first job working on a farm when he was 10 years old. He was easily distracted by the animals as a child and was fired after only a month. His mother questioned whether it would ever amount to anything in the long run. He left home after a year and went back to work on a farm, getting up before dawn to tend the animals, going to school during the day, and doing odd jobs in the evening. When he was 13 years old, he started 7th school and dropped out after shoveling corn until approximately 8 or 9 p.m. He worked on a farm for another 2 years before moving on to various employment. He worked as a streetcar conductor, a soldier, a railroad firefighter, an insurance salesman, a steamboat operator, a lighting manufacturer, a tire salesman, and a lawyer. I'm guessing all these jobs gave him the real-life skills school would not have provided. Because he was fired so many times, his first wife, Josephine King, left him with their children at one point. His fortunes altered in 1924 when he started working as a gas station operator. After job hunting, he hitchhiked from Louisville to Winchester and was picked up by the general manager of Standard Oil Kentucky, an oil and gas firm. Harlan told him about his experiences and why he couldn't find work. As a result, he approached Harlan and inquired if he was interested in owning a petrol station in Nicholasville. Harlan said yes without hesitation. Business was slow in the beginning. Some folks in town wouldn't even look his way because customers were loyal to the previous owner of the station. As a result, Harlan decided to focus on customer service and always added value. He eventually made more than $12,000 a month selling petrol, 3 times more than anyone else had ever made. While working at a gas station, Harlan prepared meals for his customers on occasion and had a single table that could sit up to 6 people. He started off making solely country ham, string beans, okra, and hot biscuits, but subsequently added fried chicken, which according to his narrative became his greatest seller. He believed fried chicken is the hospitality meal of North America, he stated. By 1937, his meal had become so well known that people traveled from all across the country to pay him a visit. So about this time, he extended his gas station to add a guest house and cafe, which could accommodate 142 people. He'd uncovered a major issue. He couldn't pan-fry the chicken fast enough when he cooked it, so the customer had to wait 30 minutes after placing an order. He often had to throw away chunks of a batch he cooked in the vehicle at night. Deep frying, with the chicken immersed in a wire basket and deep fat, was the only alternative option. It cooked the chicken quickly, but it was dry, crispy, and unevenly cooked. He made a historic breakthrough after discovering a pressure cooker, which was a new technology at the time, and used it to cook his vegetables. He had the brilliant idea of using the new gadget to cook his chicken as well. He found the appropriate balance of pressure, cooking time, meat, fat, and fat filtration after numerous attempts. The taste of the chicken was sealed in. the moisture was maintained, and the chicken had a soft, crispy finish. It shaved 8 or 9 minutes off the cooking time. Then, he received an order for 500 fried chicken dishes one day. He opted to try a new seasoning because they weren't for his typical clientele. He declared it to be the greatest fried chicken he had ever tasted. So, he stuck to his guns and labeled his 11 herb and spice concoction his secret blend. Soon after, his eatery was included in Duncan Hines' book, Adventures in Good Eating Places Along America's Highways. In 1939, however, his fortunes changed drastically. His first motel in Corbin burned down on Thanksgiving, after he built a second one in a cafe in Asheville. Because of World War II, there were no more tourists or vacationers around when it was reconstructed. So he sold his Asheville restaurant and went to work for other cafeterias and restaurants. When the war ended, Harlan went to work at another restaurant in Georgetown, where he was managed by a former coworker. Despite Harlan's kindness, his partner turned against him, giving him $300 a month and half of the profits. Behind Harlan's back, he started the restaurant as a partnership using both of their names. As a result, Harlan had to buy him out in order to fire him. Harlan received a call from a real estate agent in 1953 offering him $164,000 for his motel and cafe, but he declined. His motel and cafe were conveniently located near the highway, and tourists accounted for 90% of his revenue. Still, 6 months later, he regretted his decision not to sell a highway junction in front of him, move to a new location, and reduce traffic flow. Afterwards, it was announced that a new interstate route will completely bypass it. Harlan was convinced that his company would fail. So, he auctioned it off for $75,000 in 1956, less than half of what the real estate agent had offered him. At 66 years old, he was living off of his savings and Social Security checks of $105 per month. But he had a fresh business idea: Kentucky Fried Chicken, a fried chicken franchise. Years before Harlan taught his good friend Pete Herman how to cook chicken, he already had some lined up. Pete's restaurant business increased by 75% when he served. So, before the highway change, Harlan set up a few additional franchisees. When he decided to investigate this pack, he loaded up his car with a couple of pressure cookers and a bag of spice. He'd beg the owner of a decent-looking restaurant to allow him grill his chicken for the employees if he came across one. This is a sign of a true hustler. If they were impressed, he offered to stay for a few days and cook for the restaurant in the hopes of getting another franchise opportunity to cover his travel expenses. Colonel Sanders was a true hustler. He would sleep in the backseat of his car as a traveling salesman pitching his franchise opportunity. His second wife, Claudia Price, mixed, packed, and shipped their secret plan of 11 herbs and spices while he took care of the bookkeeping and other paperwork. Because he was afraid, Harlan didn't share the recipe with his franchisees. It would end up in the hands of rivals. By 1963, the United States and Canada had over 600 KFC franchises. On January 6, 1964, Harlan eventually caved in and sold his company at the age of 73. Taking a look back at his journey, every setback, he said, is a stepping stone towards something better. Before selling my first franchise, I was refused 1,009 times. Then there's my company, which is worth $2 million. So many others have overcome adversity in ways that will shame you. So, how can you be your own very next global brand? 3 lessons we learn. Lesson 1. Keep learning. Remember that Colonel Sanders went from job to job throughout life. He actually built useful, valuable skills that school could not have taught him. Embrace every job opportunity and position you have. Lesson 2. Be memorable. Personal brand matters. Colonel Sanders not only focused on creating a great product, he was a master self-promoter. As part of his unique self-marketing strategy, he began referring to himself as Colonel Sanders and wearing white linen to bolster his typical Southern gentleman image. After that, all he needed was his friendly smile, and the face of Kentucky Fried Chicken was born. So ask yourself, how can you make yourself memorable? How can I draw attention? Lesson 3. It's never too late. Colonel Sanders never gave up. He started KFC at 65. The mantra we like to share: if not me, who? If not now, when? Thanks for joining us today. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for our next video. Please also leave in the comment section which food brands you would like us to cover next. Asian Food Nerd, the business behind food brands.